Right now, as you listen to these words, the world around you seems solid, real, unshakable. But what if I told you none of it exists? What if everything you see is a dream projected by your own mind, and you've been hypnotized into believing it's real? This is what Robert Adams discovered, and once you see it, you can never go back to sleep. The world you see does not exist. It never existed. It is a projection of your own mind. These words from Robert Adams echo like a whisper coming from a place you have always known, but somehow forgot. A place beyond form, beyond time, beyond story. A place that has never changed. A place that remains when everything else disappears. Robert Adams was one of the quietest masters of the 20th century. A disciple of Ramana Maharshi, he spent decades in profound silence. He taught few, and he spoke even less. Yet the few words he did speak were filled with the power of 1,000 scriptures. He said simply, "You are hypnotized. Since you were born, you were taught to believe the world is real, that you are a body, that you are separate, that there is a distance between you and God, between you and life, between you and peace. But all of this is illusion, not illusion because it doesn't appear, but illusion because you believe what appears is what you are. You believe in the ever-changing, the perishable, the fleeting, and in doing so, you forget what is eternal. You were not born believing in separation. When you were a small child, before language, before identity, there was only presence. There was no you and the world. There was only the soft hum of being, a gaze without judgment, a silence without name. You didn't know you were you. You were simply aware, and that awareness had no boundary. But then, the voices began. This is your name. This is your body. You are a boy. You are a girl. This is good. That is bad. This is who you are. And so, word by word, idea by idea, the hypnosis began. The blank page of consciousness was written upon stories, beliefs, fears, ambitions, and you began to forget your original nature. You began to live as a person in a story, believing that the story was you. But who were you before the first word was spoken, before the first thought was believed? Robert Adams called this the great forgetting. The moment pure awareness began to dream of itself as a person. From this first thought, I am the body, an entire world was born, a world of me and you, of success and failure, of time and death. You began to see through the eyes of this new identity, a fragile identity that needed protection, validation, survival, and thus the dream thickened. Now, when something threatened the body, fear arose. When something praised the mind, pride arose. When something was lost, sorrow arose. And you called this living, but it is dreaming. Robert Adams said, you are reacting to a dream. You are asleep, believing the dream is real. Imagine someone sleeping, dreaming they are being chased through dark woods. The heart races, the body trembles, the danger feels real. But when they awaken, the forest vanishes, the fear disappears. The dream dissolves into the light of waking awareness. That is what awakening truly is. It is not about changing the dream. It is about realizing it was never real to begin with. You are not the dreamer. You are the awareness in which the dream appears. You are the stillness that watches the play of the world. Untouched, unbound, unborn. Robert Adams often asked, Where is the world when you sleep deeply? Where are the mountains, the cities, the wars, the oceans? Where is your body? Where are your problems? In deep, dreamless sleep, everything disappears. The world is gone, and yet you remain, not as a person, but as being itself, pure, aware, silent. Then, upon waking, the world reappears, as if it had been waiting for you. But had it? Robert said, the world only exists because you are conscious of it. Without your consciousness, there is no world. Just as a film does not exist without the screen, the world cannot appear without the awareness that contains it. Everything you see, every sound, every face, every sunset, is a projection upon the screen of consciousness. And like the screen in a theater, awareness is never touched by the drama that unfolds upon it. The fire in the film cannot burn the screen. The rain cannot wet it. The sword cannot cut it. You are that screen, infinite, still, silent. The world is only the passing play of light upon you. Every time you suffer, it is because you forgot this. You began to identify again with the character in the movie. You began to believe that the story was your story. When the body hurts, you say, I am in pain. When the mind worries, you say, I am afraid. When something changes, you say, I have lost. But awareness has never suffered. Awareness has never changed. Awareness has no story. This is why Robert Adams said, there is nothing to fix. There is nothing to improve. See through the illusion, and the illusion disappears. It is belief, only belief, that keeps the hypnosis alive. The mind says, I must become enlightened. But who is this I? It is the same illusion pretending to wake itself up. You do not awaken the self. You awaken from the self. The mind is not your enemy. It is simply a machine built from memory, habit, and fear. It dreams, reacts, compares, and imagines. Left unchecked, it creates an entire universe of suffering, a world filled with enemies and desires, regrets, and ambitions. The mind lives in time. It feeds on what was and what might be. It cannot live in what is. But life, reality, exists only now, this very moment. When you look directly into the mind without resistance, without trying to change it, you begin to see its pattern, the endless voice talking to itself. A thought arises, I am not good enough. Observe. Is it true? Or is it simply a sound arising in consciousness? Another thought appears. I must find peace. Observe again. Who must find peace? The thought or the awareness watching it? As you watch without attachment, the thoughts begin to lose their power. They still appear, but they no longer define you. They pass like clouds in a vast sky, and you remain as the sky. Robert Adams said, true meditation is not concentration. It is not trying to silence the mind. It is observing the mind and realizing you were never the mind. Peace is not achieved. It is revealed when the noise of belief subsides. You don't need to stop the thoughts. You only need to stop believing they are you. When the mind says, something is wrong, pause. Ask gently, wrong for whom? In that single question, the mind loses its authority, and in that pause, between thought and belief, you fall effortlessly into stillness. There, in that silent gap, you glimpse what has always been here, a presence untouched by time, a vast stillness that needs nothing to complete it. That stillness is you. There is a deep belief, shared by nearly everyone, that enlightenment is a future event. After years of practice, after purifying, after becoming worthy, then, perhaps, awakening will happen. Robert Adams would smile gently and say, "You are already awake. You just forgot. You do not need to become something else. You only need to stop pretending you are not what you are. There is no path to the self, because the self is the path, the traveler, and the destination. You are consciousness, now, here, in this instant, not consciousness of something, pure consciousness itself, without object, without form. It was never asleep. What sleeps is identification, the belief that you are a person living in time, seeking what can never be found in time. When this belief dissolves, awakening is simply the end of searching. No fireworks, no visions, no achievement. Just the quiet recognition. I have always been this. The peace you sought. You are it. The freedom you desired. You are it. The love you longed for. You are it. Nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to be added. Robert once told a parable. A man lost his necklace. He searched everywhere. In his home, on the street, under the bed. He grew desperate, even called his friends to help. Finally, someone asked, "What are you searching for?" "My necklace," said the man. "But look," said his friend softly. "Isn't that the necklace around your neck?" And he touched it. It had always been there. You are that man, searching for peace, searching for truth, searching for God. When what you seek is what you already are, the search itself hides the treasure. When the searching ends, when you relax into what is, you realize nothing was ever missing. In his final years, Robert Adams spoke very little. He knew that truth cannot be contained in words. Words can only point. He would sit in silence, and those around him would weep, not because of what was said, but because in his silence they felt the presence of home. That silence is not an absence. It is fullness itself. It is love before the idea of love. It is peace that cannot be disturbed. It is the end of separation. When you rest in that silence, you no longer need to change the world. The world may still appear. The film continues. But you know it for what it is, a beautiful, fleeting illusion. You live, but you no longer cling. You act, but you are no longer the actor. You feel, but you are not possessed by feeling. You love, but without fear of loss. This is true freedom. The hypnosis of the mind is deep, but it is maintained only by belief. Every thought that says, "I am someone," is another layer of the dream. You do not need to destroy it. You simply see through it. See that the world arises within you, not you within it. See that time appears in you, not you in time. See that birth and death, joy and sorrow, are waves on the ocean of what you are. Never separate, never apart. And then, without effort, the illusion fades like morning mist. The mind may return, with its stories, its fears, its noise, but now you know. You see them as clouds passing in infinite space. You are the sky that remains. Robert Adams left his body in 1997, but what he pointed to cannot leave, cannot die, cannot change, because it is not in time. It is here, now, as you. There is nothing to do, nothing to achieve, nothing to understand, only this. this awareness, this moment, this living silence. If something within you recognizes this, even for a brief instant, then the teaching has fulfilled its purpose, because it is not the words that awaken, it is the silence between them. So, remain there, not as a practice, not as an effort, but as a rest. Rest as what you are, silent, complete, free. And when the mind begins again, simply watch, as a child watches clouds float by, without judgment, without meaning, without need. For in that pure seeing, you remember, you were never lost, you were never broken, you were never asleep. You have always been free. You simply forgot, and now you remember. In the end, there is nothing to understand, nothing to attain, nothing to become. You are already that, the stillness before the world appeared, the peace that never began and can never end. Remain as that, silent, untouched, infinite, for in truth, you have never been asleep.